Welcome back to the final round of MCP March Madness. It's been a blast this month to be showcasing some of these awesome MCP servers. And wanted to give a shout out and thank you to all the API providers and companies that we have highlighted. It's been great to see the response and see how folks are interested in how APIs can provide access to AI to do things in the real world, and how already MCP is paving the way for kind of a universal approach to doing this through every model, every provider, every framework. Today, we're going to actually do a fun roll-up of the 3 best performing MCP servers that we tested throughout this month. And so what we've designed is kind of a task that you can think of as really like a headless piece of software. Instead of an application that would host a user interface to create a new newsletter and insert that into the database, then to do some research about that newsletter's topic and collate that and convert it into a newsletter kind of email optimized format, and then to take subscribers and link them to the newsletters they've subscribed, and then to send the email out to those newsletter subscribers would be a fairly sophisticated application. And what we can show here is that just MCP and AI use alone can remove the need for applications like this. And we can actually start to replace some things that we'd have to build sophisticated products for with tasks that link tools and AI together in super meaningful ways. So we're going to dive right in. I want to get a quick recap on kind of what we did in the past rounds and how they kind of bubble up into this grand finale. So if you were watching along in round 1, we had Supabase do a phenomenal job actually taking SQL generated by the model and executing that SQL to create a new database. And this is the schema that it designed, containing tables for storing newsletters, managing subscribers and the association of subscriber to a newsletter, creating a publisher of a newsletter, tracking the activity happening inside of this newsletter operating system, and then finally cutting a newsletter release containing the roll-up of links and news articles that we want to send out to newsletter subscribers. So we're going to use this database today to track and run some transactions to manage kind of creating a new newsletter and creating content for that newsletter, creating subscribers for that newsletter, and then sending out a newsletter to the audience. We also have Resend at work here, and Resend is this great email platform for just sending transactional or batch emails. And Resend is going to mirror an audience that exists as a set of subscribers in the newsletter. And in addition to that, we are going to use Resend to actually send a email optimized kind of HTML newsletter to the subscribers of a particular newsletter. And then lastly, we'll use Perplexity to kind of do some of the research and gather some of the content about a particular topic. And homage to the one true March Madness tournament, we'll probably use the NCAA March Madness as our source for the newsletter content. So let's get into it. I have a task created here. Again, this is MCP Run's task product. You can think of it as kind of like a next generation workflow automation platform. It's like get a bunch of work done, tie tools together with no arrows and boxes. This just leverages the state of the art that is provided by many, many great models and MCP tools that get linked together by the model to execute the task at hand. In this case, our task is to be sure we have some prerequisites, which is just a newsletter OS project and database. And we want to create a new newsletter called placeholder topic. In MCP Run, we can inject dynamic variables into the task so that we can parameterize them and use them in other software. We want to create an audience in Resend for that topic. So there should be a record in the database for a newsletter and a mirrored audience inside of Resend to actually send the email to those folks. I want to create a kind of test subscriber to see that we can send an email and have it verified. Then we can send the email for real. We're going to create that contact in the database in addition to Resend. We're going to then search to try to find interesting news and related topic or articles about this particular topic for our newsletter. It's going to scrape some sites. It's going to pull together some information. It's going to make sure that we are adding some of our own kind of takes on this news and use the model's knowledge to kind of enhance the content that we get out of the real-time web. And then finally, to create some email optimized HTML so that it can be rendered in email clients and store that HTML into the database. And then later, we're going to extract that HTML and send it out in a test email. So we'll do that test, sending it to that Joe Smith subscriber to be verified. So let's add NCAA March Madness here as our input parameter and run the task. I'm going to sit here and wait, but I'll speed this up for the folks watching at home so you don't have to sit for the few minutes that this thing runs. So first things first, let's go ahead and look at our database. We should see a newsletter for NCAA March Madness. We should see the publisher that created the NCAA newsletter admin. We should see a subscription created to that newsletter. And then we should see a newsletter release for today's date and the HTML. We should go into Resend, and we should be able to see an audience for NCAA March Madness with our one subscriber in it. And then we should see the newsletter showing up here in our email. Looks great. Very cool. So what happened? We drove a whole process of working with a database, presenting it with new information, storing and retrieving that information, working with two different APIs, Resend to manage subscribers and to send them emails, and researched a topic that was provided to the task remotely, collected that research, and then generated new content in the form of an HTML email and sent out that email to the subscribers. So you could envision scaling this up and running this task dozens of times, creating new newsletters, adding maybe a form to some website that adds subscribers, driving that task, kicking off that process, and then finally sending out new emails on some cron job. Remember, tasks we can set on scheduled triggers so that maybe every week or every 2 weeks we run this particular task with a different topic and does more research and creates new content and sends this out to its subscribers based on collecting the latest and greatest news about whatever topic at hand. Thanks for watching.